that the city wants to distance itself from what is happening. The issue at hand is that it's an established practice between us and the city that once a development where rental is involved is completed, it's sent over to the city, which what has happened. That happened under the MEC Ntombi. She transferred the property to the city. When we went there in March with the MEC and the MMC for housing from Johannesburg, there was no issue about where the responsibility lies, to a point that the city said they were at the point of appointing a service provider to repair the damage. As we speak now, the city has appointed a structural engineer to do the costing of the damage that was done.
All right, that happened last Friday. We had an interview there and talking about the issue of this housing project in Soweto. So joining us this morning, we've got Mzobanzi Ntuli. He's the DA Mayoral Committee for Housing Councillor, to respond to this interview about the failed 100 million rand low-cost housing project in Dube, Soweto, in the south of Johannesburg. Now, Keith Khoza, in that clip from the Gauteng Department of Human Settlements, spoke to us about the substantial amount of money that has been flushed down the drain, basically. According to him, the responsibility now lies in the City of Johannesburg's hands to fix the dire situation. Ntuli is here to reply to Khoza's allegations. Good to have you. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you very much for having me. First of all, let me correct this. I am Mzobanzi Ntuli, representing IFP in the Mayoral Committee of the City of Johannesburg.
Okay, so you're
responsible for housing.
So you are responsible for housing.
Yes,
okay, so you're part of the the coalition government that's here in Gauteng. Thank you for the correction. Let's talk about that. Let's get the response that's going now in terms of what was said on Friday's interview, and that's been said before. I don't think anything new was brought up, where the department is blaming the City of Johannesburg for what's happening in the Dube, Soweto.
No, ma'am, let me not come here and play a blame game, but mine is to correct the situation. First of all, let me clarify the issue of that Dube hostel development. As the province is saying that it was transferred to the city a long time ago, but during that process, there was lack of or miscommunication between the city and the province. That led to the vandalism of that hostel because there were no clear mandate in terms of security, the sphere that was responsible for the security of that particular property. You will recall that there was that misunderstanding between the government and the people of that hostel in terms of rentals. People were of the view that the project or the units is for them as giveaways, but when the government talk about rentals, it's become a problem to them. That is where the problem is. But as I'm saying, I'm not here to put the blame to anyone because I want to see something happening in that situation. Going forward, we need to do something.
Okay, so what is going to be done? Because the cost to repair that, and I think we spoke about it on Friday as well, 95 to 100 million was spent on building that. Now, to repair that, I imagine the costs are going to be the same. Who's going to fork out this money?
In fact, between us and the province, we are trying to work together on this one. As you know, that the provision of housing is the competence of the province and the national. As the city, we are busy communicating closely with the province in order for us to get this funding. Because what we want to see happening there, other properties or other units there can be fixed, but the entire cannot. I think you need to start afresh and build new units in that hostel. It's very bad, but what I'm happy with, we are working together with the provincial government in order for us to sort out that situation.
I'm glad you're happy, but none of us are happy, because at the end of the day, that's taxpayers' money we're talking about. This is money that can be used, which was intended for the right purpose, building houses, which is something that is needed so badly for the residents here in Gauteng. I'm not just talking about the rest of South Africa, but in Gauteng. But now that money that has been spent has to be respent. How could it have gotten this far? I mean, you visited that. I've searched back on articles where there were warning signs from years ago that there were problems in this housing unit, and yet what was done about it?
No, in fact, I'm not going to run away from the fact that the money was already spent. Taxpayers' money was spent there, and now we need to go back and spend again. It's very bad for us as the city and as the province, because we spend taxpayers' money in a very wrong way. In fact, before you start the project, I think communication with the people on the ground is very important. In this situation, the provincial government and the City of Johannesburg, there was no proper communication with the communities around. That is where today. That is how today we are ended up having this situation that we have in Dube Hostel.
So let's get an estimate. How much do you think it's going to cost to fix this all up?
It's a lot of money, ma'am. It's a lot of money, and it's, as I said, it's very bad on the side of the taxpayers' money, because they will look at the government of the day as people who are spending money in a wrong way. But it's a lot of money. I cannot even go to suggest how much is it, but it's a lot of money. Yeah. Because in fact that those units are finished. We need to start afresh, as I said, in other units. So it's very bad.
They've been completely gutted. They really have. What is the mayor saying about this? I know that we invited him. He couldn't be here today. But what is the mayor, Herman Mashaba, what does he have to say?
No, we are depending on our discussions with the provincial government, because they are willing to assist. We are also willing to assist the situation. But we are working together on this one. As you heard Mr. Khoza talking about us having a service provider that is busy assessing the situation. So we are hoping that very soon we will come up with an estimated cost and start looking at where can we get this money.
How will it be done differently? Because you spoke about it right in the beginning, that there was this misunderstanding, that a lot of the residents felt that they didn't realize that the cost was going to be as much as it was. They were thinking 250 Rand, maximum 500. It suddenly went up to 750 plus. How is it going to be managed differently? And is there a list in place of people that are going to be beneficiaries of this? I mean, surely the organization is going to be a lot better than it was, how it should have initially been.
In fact, members of the city, our position is that before you come up with any project in the city, you need to identify beneficiaries. You need to know who are beneficiaries. Are they qualifying to benefit in that project before you start anything? Because there in Dube, the problem that we have, we can come up with a funding model and fund the new units there, but the problem that we have, if we fail to start by identifying the beneficiaries for that project, nothing we can do. We need to start by identifying who are beneficiaries in that project.
Was this not done previously?
It was done, but because of the misunderstanding between the government and the people, we ended up having this situation. People were hoping that units that were built in the hostel are going to get they are going to get as giveaways. But when the government talk about rentals, it's become a problem to them. That is where the standstill was.
You know, this is not the only example of things going wrong like this. I mean, there's another development in Soweto that is also not looking good at this time, and that the same situation is unfolding. How are you overseeing this? Because now it is in your hands. You are managing, you're governing the City of Johannesburg. And from something like this, from other instances, it doesn't look like a good job is being done. Please change my view.
No. In fact, you know what need to be done going forward here. Let us try to intensify communication with our communities. It's not going to work for any government if you're failing to communicate with communities. Communities need to know what you're doing as the government of the day. So that is where the problem is. If you are not communicating, we will continue having problems. Coming up with projects in the areas, but failing to communicate those projects to communities, it's become a problem at the end of the day, because people need to take part on all what government is doing.
All right. Look, we're going to have to leave it there this morning, but we're going to follow this very, very closely, and hopefully we can get the mayor to come in and answer some more questions about some of these projects and other things in the city, what he's doing, and trying to help when it comes to these housing projects. And it's an unacceptable amount of money, 100 million rand down the drain, and guaranteed the same amount, if not more, over the years is going to be spent on trying to redevelop this. But thank you for coming in, and apologies for getting the party wrong. We've got in studio with us this morning Mzobanzi Ntuli. He's the IFP representative on the Mayoral Committee for Housing. Thank you very, very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right. So we have now got something a lot lighter on this Tuesday morning.